listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk. It's a podcast. It's a magazine. No, it's a podzine.
Hi there, and welcome to the new Podzine series from theoutdoorstation.co.uk. And what makes it new? Well, we're hoping that it's going to be a weekly series of programmes full of useful information, magazine style, for outdoors lovers everywhere. And what sort of thing do we have on? Good question, glad you asked. Well, for example, in this show, we're interviewing the head of design from Innovate about the new Rocklite 390 GTXs. And Chris Watts from First Ascent joins us to talk about the new MSR Reactor stove, which is creating a lot of interest, especially with high winter mountaineer climbers and so on. Now, the series of programmes is obviously going to contain a wealth of information, hopefully for outdoors lovers everywhere, as well as people who might be in the retail world. Now, the retail world, there is no reason why they can't play these podcasts in the shop. After all, there's only so many buff videos that you can listen to. These programs are independent, so there's no bias to any particular manufacturer or to retailer, of course. And we hope that the information that it contains will be inspirational, interesting and useful background bump for people who come wandering through. So we're asking our audience, our current audience, to perhaps go out and mention it to retailers and shops that this information is available. And not only the podzines, of course, but also other programs that we have on the site which are sponsored by different manufacturers, and that's how we cover our costs. So it's completely free for people to use. Completely free for them to play in the shops and so on. There's no cost involved, and the only way that we do ask for some sort of contribution is in the sponsored programs. Now, the other thing that retailers do worry about, which is quite understandable, is when you play audio material in your premises, PRS usually come on, knock on the door saying you owe us money for a license. Well, not in this case. I've been in contact with PRS, and a podcast doesn't fall under the same category, providing it doesn't contain material which comes under their umbrella. That's material by a PRS member. So all music, sound effects, interviews and whatever else in the background here that you might hear on these programs have got absolutely nothing to do with them, because none of them are produced by their members. So the material here can be played completely openly without any problem at all, and no license fees are applicable. So the days of the buff video might be numbered in some respects. So what have we got? Well, as I said, we've got plenty to discuss. The interviews we've got coming up, we've got a whole range of interviews actually that I got from a recent show that I went to. Plus, of course, we're going to be speaking to people who are actually out doing things themselves. So let's get into our first interview, which is with Graham Jordison. He's the head of design at Innovate, and I asked him to explain all the key features of the new Rocklite 390 GTX.
Okay, this is the Rocklite 390 GTX, and what it is, it's the lightest Gore-Tex boot in the world, we believe. It features our Rocklite outsole, which we name every product after the outsole, and the differentiating factor is the weight, 390 grams for an average size 8.
Well, I'm very excited to get to speak to you here, because this boot has obviously been recently introduced. It's had a lot of very, very good press by people. But I didn't realise you initially sort of introduced it for the paragliding market.
Yeah, that's right. We worked with one of the UK's top paragliders, and he tested it quite extensively, and the feedback we got back from that was really positive. But it also lends itself really well to trail walking and mountain running. So that's where we've gone with the product.
So, as you say, it's based on the Rocklite footwear.
Yes.
And it's Gore-Tex lined as well.
It is. It's got a full XCR Gore-Tex lining, so that makes it fully waterproof and breathable. Gives you a good climate control. So when the temperature gets a bit hot, then it keeps the foot fairly comfortable in certain extremes.
We were just discussing ankle support, and you said it's more of a mental thing than possibly a physical thing, and that's certainly the people who are crossing over or starting to consider a lighter range of equipment, including their footwear, will probably look at this very, very closely. But the question, I think, would probably cross their mind the fact that this looks like it could give a bit more ankle support, or give them the feeling of ankle support, compared to using what appears to be a standard trainer-based lower ankle cut.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, our philosophy is not to inhibit the natural function of the foot. So especially when you're running in an off-road terrain, it's less of an issue to have support, because we believe that the foot should be allowed to work as nature intended. The terrain is always changing, so to be able to position your foot against a rock, using the metatarsals in the correct position is very important. That's one of the things we've done with the boot, was we haven't created too much support in the upper. All we've done is given it a bit more height to give you a bit more protection in there. So a lot of the support is actually perceived rather than actually given.
So the people that are using traditional walking boots, then this actually is a good halfway house between what they would perceive to be trail shoes.
That's right, yeah. What you'll find now is a lot of people are making the transition from a heavyweight walking boot into a lighter weight trail shoe. So what we've done with this product is just given the consumer that doesn't really want to make that radical step into a really lightweight boot that's going to give them all the function and the features that we give in our trail shoes, but give them the perception and the added support and protection and durability.
Talking about protection and durability, I see the toe section has got the same sort of tough mesh cover. Obviously, that's proved itself to be extremely durable for outdoor activities.
It has, yeah. What we're doing is we use a dual layer mesh, so the outer layer is actually a really fine nylon mesh, and that's proved itself to be extremely durable for trail running. So it just seemed a natural progression to go into to hill walking, mountain walking, where you're going to need that added protection from the rocks and the terrain around you.
The boots that you've got here, and obviously the trail shoes, I've an owner of a couple of pairs of the different ones you've got. I find that certain boot shoes fit certain types of feet really comfortably. What sort of foot has this been designed for? A broad foot, a narrow foot, that sort of thing?
Well, we've used our accommodating fit last, or what we would call accommodating fit last, because we essentially use two lasts, one of which is a precise fitting last for people who are going to use product in really harsh conditions where they're doing a lot of ascending, descending and contouring. But for the boot, because you're not going to be doing that at such a fast pace, we've decided to use the more accommodating fit, but the last is shaped around what we would call an average runner's foot. So the heel area is slightly narrower than many other brands' lasts. But in the toe area, we like to provide a lot of room so that the toes are free to move around just in front of the metatarsal heads and just in front of the webbing structure where we provide all the support for our footwear.
So if somebody took off a Rocklite trail shoe and put this on, it would fit comfortably? Yeah,
they would find the fit very similar. The only difference they would really feel is around the ankle area where we're giving you that extra protection.
And is it all synthetic manufacture?
It is, apart from the upper on the vamp area where we have used leather in this product. All our other products are fully synthetic.
And I believe the design also comes with a non-Gore-Tex version as well.
Yeah, that's right. We've got the Rocklite 370, which is 20 grams lighter. So we believe that to be the lightest boot in the world.
Now, it's a unisex fit, I understand. So just tell me the range of sizes that you actually cover.
In most of the models, we go from a size 3.5 to a 14 or a 15, but not in every model, because obviously the justification for going to those sizes isn't always there.
And the range of sizes particularly on these boots, because I know a lot of people will be interested in these.
Yeah, well, these go from a 3 to a 12, including half sizes, and we also do a size 13 and a 14.
Okay, and of course the retail price is the next question.
The retail price on the Gore-Tex model is £100, and the 370, which we're launching for Spring Summer 08, will be £80.
One thing that has occurred to me is obviously everybody's different and everybody has a different heel width. How do the boots accommodate that?
Well, in all of our range, we actually have a thermosetting polymer heel counter. Now, that means if somebody does have an issue whereby the fit isn't 100%, then they can easily rectify that. All they would need to do is put the heel of the shoe over the spout of the kettle for 30 to 60 seconds, taking care not to burn themselves, of course. And then as soon as the heat allows, put the shoe on, go for a short walk or run, and on cooling, the heel counter will then provide a customised fit.
Well, I never knew that. So you actually just invert the shoe and let the steam go inside the shoe there?
That's right, yeah, that was all you need to do. And everybody who we've recommended this to, it's worked 100%, so...
Oh, well, that's worth knowing. There's a top tip from the designer of Innovate Shoes. How about that? The range is getting very, very extensive now, I notice, and you've got quite a lot of products there. Can you just give us an idea of sort of an overview of the range itself?
Yeah, I mean, we're very well covered in the off-road running range now, and it can be quite difficult to differentiate the products, but there are subtle differences that are going to suit each individual runner or end user. Probably the best way to do that is to go onto our website, innovate.com, and click on each individual product. And they can also click on which type of terrain they're going to be using, which type of activity they're going to be using. And that will then select automatically the most appropriate product and filter out which products are less suitable for that activity or terrain.
Oh, that sounds like a really useful thing then. So basically it's inov8.com, yeah?
-8.com.
-8.com, and there's a selector system in there to enable you to choose the right shoe for the right activity.
That's right, yes.
Excellent. Well, it's been a real joy to speak to you and speak to the man behind the designs who's been putting all these things together. It's been fascinating to see, and I'm really pleased to see these boots in the flesh. When are the boots hitting the high street?
The Gore-Tex boots are currently in the market. The Rocklite 370 will be available spring next year.
The Podzine.
And now it's time to do a magazine review, I think. And we've randomly picked 2 magazines off the shelf and put them head to head to see what value you get for the November issue of Trail magazine and the November issue of TGO. Both well-respected magazines, both with a different type of audience and both catering for slightly different needs, but both actually, this issue, I have to say, both a very good read. Looking into the TGO magazine, first of all, it's 114 pages worth. We've got a good range of inspirational articles from Chris Townsend and Cameron McNeish, of course, all about getting out backpacking possibly for the first time. What sort of gear do you need? Where to go? Considering what sort of ideal camping spots. Certainly north of the border, they're very, very lucky up there with the obviously the wild camping laws, and some very beautiful pictures and what would make for some inspirational nights, I'm sure, with some of the wild camping spots in Scotland. Interestingly, their TGO are following their ultralight theme, and Eddie Meachin has got a nice article there about his trip to enlightenment and how he's got rid of his extremely heavy old Vango pack and gone down looks like a Mariposa pack from the States. In fact, the entire weight of the contents of the new lightweight equipment weighs the same as the empty old rucksack. But it's a good article. It's if you're interested in that sort of thing, that'll help you consider the options. What else have we got? Well, there's certainly 1 or 2 gear reviews or suggestions about gear, about the LED headlamp and some of the advantages and some of the products available. And Chris Townsend courts a little bit of controversy with his thoughts on lightweight boots in winter. What exactly do you need and why you do need them? Gear test also continues with John Manning, who's taken a rainbow tarp tent, tarp Henry Shire's tent, Rain Shadow 2 over to the Sierra Nevada this year, and he explains how it performed in those sort of conditions, which you'd normally assume to be good conditions, but like everybody else this year, the weather has been rather dubious. And looking at the the sort of comments he's made, it looks like it needs a little bit of work before it's suitable for UK conditions, because it didn't quite perform as well as expected or hoped following huge deluge. But again, a good read. The wild walks, we've got 11 walks. 3 in Scotland, 3 in the Lake Districts, Northumberland, North Yorkshire Moors, Peak District and Snowdonia. Again, the walks are really good inspirations for a day out. Hopefully nobody's more than a few hours away from setting out for any of the walks, be it in trail or TGO, and they do try to spread them around the country to inspire people to enjoy our surroundings. Photography, of course. Colin Pryor does his roundup of photographs and how he's taken them and some of the stories behind them. An absolute superb photographer. And of course, the very famous award-winning Jim Perrin does a nice article or two in there as well. Judy Armstrong does the Rainy Day Woman, some waterproof trousers, essential for women, and Judy's very well respected in the outdoors world, and certainly looks in great detail at this sort of equipment. So all in all, a thundering good read in the TGO magazine November issue. And how does that compare to Trail? Well, actually, they both compare very, very well. Trail comes in at a hefty 170 pages. And they too are giving newbies advice in how to get out and start hiking and walking and the sort of gear you need and so on. And so there's an introductory article in there is how to get into walking, which is quite good. Then they go into various things and testing certain equipment. Notably, there's a one-page first test of Innovate's new boot, which we've just been discussing, the 390. There's 390 GTX. And then they explain how to get into bothying, what bothying's all about. Of course, people north of the border are very well serviced on that, but there are a few bothies in other parts of the country. I think there's a few in Wales there. What else have we got? We've got certain sub-Monroes. They've got first tests of a few bits of equipment, which are generally interesting, and they go into the knowledge. And I quite like the knowledge pages because there's a whole range of short pieces of information described in easy to absorb ways, and always makes for a good read when you just want to pick a magazine up for 5 minutes and have a flick. So that makes for some good reading. They too have done their waterproof reviews of gear, and they've broken into sections: general purpose jackets, multi-activity jackets, lightweight jackets, winter jackets, and jackets for children, which is nice to see. And Graham Thompson gives them a good old review through, and lots of features and benefits of each one, and his thoughts on the products, which is quite interesting. They too have gone over to the States to see if they can pinch any ideas that would be useful for the UK, but they seem to be come to the conclusion that American people are very fortunate in the sense that they don't necessarily worry about getting wet, because they generally are warm when they're wet, whereas in this country, of course, hypothermia can set in and it tends to spoil the day out somewhat. But there's a feature there, and it seems to come to the conclusion that Americans take more with them generally because they like to have a few more comfort features and benefits. They've got some great routes actually across the country, 15 routes coming out of Trail there, several in Scotland, but the majority down in the south of England, a few down in Dartmoor, Shropshire, at the Peak District, the Southern Uplands and the Lake District and so on. There's a nice waterfall walk, which I must go on the Brecon Beacons, because that waterfall looks fantastic and it'll be suitable for some great photographs. And talking of which, Trail, as always, has got lovely photographs. The photographer they employ, or photographers, really do know how to take pictures to inspire. Lovely rich colours, and certainly some great views of people getting out and doing it, which is what it's all about. So I would say, to conclude, there's two thunderingly good reads there, roughly the same sort of price, the Trail magazine and TGO magazine for November 07. In the American section of the November issue of Trail magazine, you'll see a picture of the Reactor stove, the MSR Reactor stove, a wind-proof, fuel-efficient stove that can boil a litre of water in less than 3 minutes, apparently. And I spoke to Chris Watts at a recent trade show from First Ascent, who are the distributors of the MSR products, and asked him exactly what the key features of this product is.
Key features are that it's an integrated cooking system rather than just a stove with a fancy pot. The pot itself incorporates a heat exchanger, which is part of the same metal as the vessel of the pot, and that then has an external windshield built into it. The stove is dedicated for use with the pot, and you can't use it with other pan sets. And it's a unique innovation in that it has a combination of horizontal burners so that it reduces the stack height without making the stove unit too tall and unstable. It has a pressure regulator so that the fuel, it's governed to work at about a quarter full canister of gas as its basic pressure, which effectively means that in sub-zero conditions it's not the partial pressure of the butane mix is not affected, so you get full performance and you're able to use the gas pretty much down to empty in the canister, which is important when a lot of the fuel that you're carrying, effectively becomes unusable. The burner is it's a radiant burner that uses what they call primary air.
Explain that to me. Tell me about primary and secondary air.
Okay, when you take any burner unit, the gas or the fuel coming through the first jet is mixed with oxygen from the air. It then goes up and hits what's called the burner cap and spread out to the little holes around the perimeter of the burner cap where it's mixed with secondary air. The problem with this system is that the secondary air is always vulnerable to wind and gusts, which blows away most of the heat. With the reactor stove, the pan is intimately on top of the burner unit, and so there is no secondary air contact. It's also heat transfer is radiant, so that again the heat itself cannot be blown away by the air. The primary air is taken into the burner unit through a ported or a vented plate, and it's then channeled through a series of internal vents so that it comes to the burner units or to the jets without travelling in a straight line, so that it is unaffected by movements of air.
So, to recap then, the combination of the pressure valve inside the burner head, and also the fact that it's working off primary air, means it is as efficient inside a tent vestibule as it would be stuck outside.
Absolutely. We've done tests where we've burnt the stove with the gas canister standing in a tray of iced water with a fan blowing at it full blast, and it will outperform any stove that we've tested it against, and it will burn at the same rate, or it will boil water at the same rate in those conditions as it would in still air in a house on a kitchen table.
It looks to be a very balanced stove as well. The actual cooker head, the burner head, is slightly broader than a 250 canister, but obviously incredibly stable. And the actual pot itself, you were saying, is almost one piece.
It is, and the idea really has been there's no point making any of the dimensions narrower than a 250 gas canister, since that's what most people would use. There are possibilities of producing them for smaller canisters in the future, but at this stage it was designed around a 250 gram canister, so there's no point making it narrower. And the idea is that the whole unit can be packed into the pan and carried securely without any rattling components, and that it makes sense when pack size is as important to people who think weight is important.
Well, and also the practicalities, presumably on a long trip where you'd normally use, say 10 canisters, how efficient would this be by comparison?
Tests to date, we're looking at about 4 times the efficiency, and that's 4. So basically, you need about a quarter of the weight of gas to be carried that you would take. In a mountaineering situation, you would probably expect to take 1 canister between 2 people per day if you were boiling water or melting water from snow. We've done tests where you can get away with about a half a canister in those sorts of conditions, and probably up to 4 times if you weren't boiling it and were doing all the usual sensible things.
And I presume, that's the marketplace for this product. This is not sort of a backpacking, general UK backpacking product. We're talking serious mountaineers for this sort of thing.
Not exclusively. I mean, the mountaineering environment is always a nice sort of vector image, but really cold weather conditions are common to backpacking as they are to mountaineering. and that's always where the performance of this type of gas stove is shown up. Any multi-day trip is where you're going to benefit from this stove, because you just don't. The stove itself isn't where you're going to save the weight. It's in the dead weight of the canisters that you have to carry with you. I think people tend to forget that the gas canister, and it's 250 grams, that's its net weight. I mean, you've got about 150 grams of dead metal that you're carrying with you. And that adds up. I mean, I've been on trips where you've got to carry, up to 10 canisters. That's 3 or 4 kilos that you really don't want on your back.
Absolutely. The pan itself, is it of the new non-stick variety? Is it non-stick lined?
It's not. They've not attempted to make it a non-stick. It's got a nice finish to it, but it's not deliberately made to be non-stick, because it affects the performance of it and how they can actually make it. You're going to be storing the gas canister and together with the stove head inside, and really it doesn't make sense if you're going to start scratching it. You would then have to wrap everything up in some sort of a cloth.
And I see it's got sort of measurement markings on it as well, or it appears to be. So what actually is the capacity of the pan?
The actual capacity, I think, is about 1.7 litres, but you can fill it right up to 1.7 litres.
And that see-through lid is what sort of material is that?
It's a Lexan polycarbonate. The idea then is, again, you save the heat that you've generated by not having to open the lid to check whether the water's boiling. So it's something that a lot of Arctic explorers have adopted in their sort of attempts to make things more efficient.
And final question would be, this is available, I believe, now. Is it run up to Christmas?
It's literally arriving. It arrived last week, so we've got them in stock now. I mean, we sell out all the time because the demand is so high. We're about 6 months late on delivery of this stove, but there are a lot of elements here that have never been tried before, and so we wanted to make sure that it was absolutely 100% operational.
It certainly looks a bulletproof unit for that sort of heavy-duty use, and it'll last for many years. What's the price point on it?
Retail price at the moment is £110. For next spring, summer, it will be £120.
What's the reason for that then?
It's just costs. It's cost more to produce than we initially anticipated.
So what's happening soon in the great outdoors? The Podzine Diary. Yeah, so let's have a look at the diary for those people who want to get out in the next few weeks. Here we are, the 15th of October today. So I thought I'd scan ahead about 3-4 weeks with some of the information I've got in front of me to introduce to people some things perhaps near you. Now, I know this coming weekend, so that's the 20th, 21st of October, there's a meet from the Bushcraft people, which details can be found on bushcraftuk.com. And that's a meet in the Coventry area. Full details are on the forum website there, and people interested in mixing with like-minded bushcraft people can, I'm sure, be welcome to come along. But get the details from the website. The Backpackers Club are once again fairly active, and in fact they're quite active these next few weeks. They've got a few events on. On the weekend, the 19th to 21st, they're going to the Severn Valley. And again, information on that meet and a few others which are happening later on in the next few weeks on backpackersclub.co.uk. Up in Scotland, the Edinburgh Mountain Festival takes place on the same weekend, the 19th to 21st, at the George Square Lecture Theatre, and there's going to be 20-odd films there with various speakers, including Stephen Venables, Barry Blanchard, Ian Parnell and Cameron McNeish, to name but a few, plus of course Karen Dark. The website for that one is edinburghmountainff.com. So that's one word, edinburghmountainff.com. The same weekend, on the 20th, Cameron does indeed seem to be a bit busy. He's going down to Cumbria, and he's doing a talk on Alfred Wainwright and his special centenary year. And the information that is available at wainwright.org.uk. That's wainwright.org.uk. Or the telephone number for the National Mountaineering Museum is 01768 860090. The 24th, in North Yorkshire, the Yorkshire Dales Park Authority is going for a walk from the Malham National Park at 11:30am. Details can be found on the website yorkshiredales.org.uk, telephone number 01969 652 380. The Backpackers Club, once again, are busy on the 26th, 28th, this time in the Yorkshire Dales, and they're going to explore the quieter side of the Dales and perhaps visit Masham's famous brewery up there, so I think that's going to be quite popular. And again, details can be found at the website is backpackersclub.co.uk. Now, the various forums are organising a few things, so it's be worthwhile mentioning those. On outdoorsmagic.com there seems to be a very popular meeting with over 200 posts so far on the forum for the Southern Highlands. That's the Bridge of Orkney area. Again, there's lots of information available on the website on that particular thread, so do have a look at that. It looks like it's going to be a very popular meet, so that's outdoorsmagic.com. On the 16th to the 18th or 19th of November, Trail are getting together with their group of friends from on the forum, and this is the third Trail meet, and they're meeting at Langdale. Again, details are on the Trail forum, which is a bit confusing. The address is forum.countrywalking.co.uk. And full details can be found on that, but it looks like there's a good 20 or so people going to that meet. And finally, we have in Mid Wales a long-distance walking event called the Real Ale Ramble. They've got 3 organised walks there, 10 miles, 15 miles and 25 miles in Mid Wales. They start at 9am on the 24th of November, and it goes on for the whole weekend. There is an entry fee for one day of £10 and £16 for both days, which I guess includes entrance into the beer festival. So if you enjoy your outdoors life and you enjoy some real ale, that's the place to go. And the information can be found on green-events.co.uk. So there's plenty going on in the next few weeks.
The Podzine Diary. If you've got any news or events you'd like us to cover on the Podzine, then contact us at The Outdoor Station. The address is info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Bringing you more about the outdoors world. Call our voicemail service now. 020 8133 9434.
Well, that brings us pretty well now to the end of our new style Podzine show, a weekly show if we can manage it, an audio magazine for outdoors people everywhere, no matter your interest, be it climbing, walking, hiking, cycling, kayaking or whatever. And to celebrate, we've got a little competition sponsored by Golite. Well, do mention the Podzine, if you would, to your friends, your local shops, your clubs, in fact anyone interested in the outdoors, if you would. The more listeners that we can get, the merrier it will be. Anything, of course, coming up in your diaries, outdoor diaries, if you're organising something, your club's organising something, you'd like a little bit of exposure, then do drop us a line at The Outdoor Station. All the information is on the website, theoutdoorstation.co.uk. Or if you wanted to record a little piece, leave a message on our answer service, telephone number again on the website, and we will play that promoting your particular event. So what is our competition? Well, our competition is sponsored by those very nice people at Golite in the USA, and they've given us 12 high-wicking, stiff-peaked mesh caps weighing in at 70 grams each. Super lightweight stuff, but of a very, very stiff peak, so make them useful for all sorts of outdoor activities. These normally retail at £10 each, and I've got 6 in the small, medium size and 6 in the large, extra large size. And the question is simply this: who is Lou? L-U. Who is Lou? To find the answer, you're going to have to visit the golite.com website and have a hunt round there, and the information can be found somewhere there. So that's it, really. The first 12 people emailing us with the right answers, giving us, of course, their name and address and their head size. Email us at golite-podcast Golite-competition, theoutdoorstation.co.uk. That's Golite, Golite, -competition at theoutdoorstation.co.uk, and you'll be entered into the hat. It'll be first come, first served on these, so do get in a hurry. All you have to do is go to the website to just pass it on to everybody else. And that is pretty well it for the show. I'm going to start working on the next one. See you next time. Bye now.
This independent programme has been brought to you by The Outdoors Station, the exciting new way to see and hear free information about the outdoors world. If you're a blogger, or if you have a website, you can now incorporate any of these podcasts directly to your site, completely free. Visit our website, theoutdoorstation.co.uk, for more information.